Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School. Have you ever sat back and asked yourself, why am I waiting? Why am I still dreaming, but not doing? If you've ever felt like your dreams are just floating in the air, like they're just out of reach, then this video is for you. But here's the question. What if today was the day everything changed? What if the moment you stop waiting and start acting could be the moment you change your entire life? You're watching this because you know there's something inside you, something waiting to be unleashed. And today, we're going to unlock that energy, that drive, and that unstoppable momentum. Chapter 1, The Waiting Game. Let me tell you a story that I'm sure some of you might find all too familiar. A few years ago, there was a young woman named Sarah. Now, Sarah was no ordinary woman. She had big dreams. Dreams that stretched beyond the horizon. Dreams that were bigger than what she had ever imagined for herself. She wanted to start her own business, write a best-selling book, travel the world, and make a real impact. But Sarah was stuck. It wasn't that she didn't have the passion or drive. In fact, she had an abundance of both. But every day, she found herself sitting in front of her computer, feeling like she was staring at a blank canvas, unsure of where to begin. What should I do first? Was the question that haunted her. Her mind was constantly racing with ideas, plans, and goals, but somehow, the moment to take action never seemed to arrive. She had spreadsheets and journals filled with lists of things to do, things to achieve, and steps to take. But every time she tried to start, a thought would sneak into her mind. Not today. Let me do it tomorrow. Tomorrow will be better. And so, tomorrow came, and guess what? The same thing happened. She'd tell herself, I'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. It felt like she was always stuck in the cycle of procrastination, a loop of empty promises to herself. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And months turned into years. Sarah found herself growing older, watching the world around her change, while her dreams remained untouched, like distant stars she could never quite reach. She was waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the perfect plan, and what did she get in return? Nothing. You see, Sarah was stuck in a trap, the trap that so many of us fall into. The belief that there is some magical, perfect moment when everything will come together, when we'll finally be ready to take the plunge. But here's the cold, hard truth. That perfect moment never comes. It's an illusion. It's like waiting for a rainbow to land in your lap. You can wait and wait, but it will always be just out of reach. I know some of you are reading this and feeling that sting of truth because I've been there. You've been there too. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I'll wait until next week, or I'll do it once I have everything figured out? How many times have you pushed your dreams aside, thinking, I'll start when things calm down, or I'll wait until I'm in a better place? The problem with waiting for the perfect moment is that it never arrives. There will always be a reason to wait. Always. You'll always find some reason to put things off, to delay action. Maybe you don't have the money, the resources, the experience, or the support you think you need. You'll convince yourself that if you just wait a little longer, everything will line up. But let me tell you something important. The best moment is now. I know it sounds simple, but it's the truth. The best time to act is right now, in this very moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to start, guess what? You'll be waiting forever. Action creates the perfect moment. When you take action, you make the moment perfect. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but how do I get started? What if I fail? I hear you. The fear of failure is real. It's paralyzing. But here's the thing. Failure is a part of the process. In fact, it's one of the best teachers you'll ever have. You learn more from your failures than your successes. And the only way to avoid failure is to do nothing at all. And doing nothing is far worse than failing. Sarah's mistake wasn't that she didn't have the ability to succeed. She was just waiting for the right moment. She was waiting for the stars to align. But when she realized that waiting was just another form of procrastination, that's when everything changed for her. You see, we all have an idea in our minds about how things should go. We create this picture of perfection, and we think we have to wait until we're ready to make it happen. But that's the lie we tell ourselves to avoid facing the discomfort of change, the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. The truth is, you're never going to feel completely ready. There will always be something you think you need to fix or prepare for. The key to success isn't waiting until everything is perfect. It's starting before you feel ready, trusting that once you take the first step, the path will reveal itself. Sarah didn't need all the answers to begin. She didn't need the perfect plan. All she needed was to take the first step. And once she did, she found herself moving forward one action at a time. Sure, it wasn't easy. She made mistakes. She stumbled. But as she went, she gained clarity. As she acted, she learned. She began to trust herself more and more. And the more she acted, the more momentum she built. Let me ask you, what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? The world is waiting for your unique gifts, your ideas, your dreams. Don't wait for the perfect time. The time to act is now. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is the action you're not taking. So, ask yourself, what's the first step you can take today? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a step forward. One small step towards the life you've been waiting for. The time to act is now. The time to stop waiting is now. Chapter 2. The Turning Point. One afternoon, Sarah found herself sitting in a cozy cafe, sipping on a cup of coffee that had gone cold long ago. The hum of casual conversations and the clinking of mugs around her didn't seem to register. She was lost in her own thoughts, scrolling mindlessly through her phone. Her mind, though, was anything but calm. Her dreams were still alive, but they felt distant. They hovered above her like clouds she could never quite touch. She had spent so much time in the waiting phase, telling herself things like, next month, I'll start, or I'll start once I feel ready. But the problem was that she never felt ready. And, over time, she grew frustrated with the endless cycle of self-doubt and procrastination. Her ideas, her goals, they were always just a little out of reach. It was as if she was chasing something in the distance. But no matter how fast she ran, it was always far away. Then, while scrolling, her eyes fell on a quote. It wasn't flashy or complicated, just simple and raw. But the words hit her like a lightning bolt, shaking her from her trance. It read, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." At that very moment, something shifted inside of Sarah. It was as though the universe had slapped her across the face, waking her up from a deep slumber. It was now that mattered. Not next week, not next year, not when everything aligned perfectly. She could no longer live in the future, waiting for the right time. The truth hit her hard. If she kept waiting for the perfect moment, it would never come. If she didn't take action now, she would spend the rest of her life dreaming about what could have been. The quote reverberated in her mind. Now, the best time to act was in this very moment. And it wasn't about waiting for some magical sign from the universe. It was about deciding, making a choice to take action, even if the conditions weren't perfect. The world wasn't going to stop and hand her a blueprint to success. No one was going to knock on her door and offer her the ideal opportunity. If Sarah wanted to see her dreams become reality, she had to move now. She didn't need a perfect plan. She didn't need to know every step of the journey. What she needed was to start. So, with a deep breath, she picked up her phone, unlocked it, and opened a blank document. Her fingers hovered over the screen for a moment. It felt overwhelming, like standing at the edge of a cliff with no idea what lies below. She had so many ideas and possibilities, but no clear path. The fear of messing up or taking the wrong turn crept in, but she forced herself to push it aside. She typed the first line of her business plan. It wasn't elaborate. It wasn't even close to a complete idea. But it was something. It was a beginning. I'm going to start a business. I will create a platform for young entrepreneurs to learn, grow, and connect. That was it. The first step. It wasn't perfect, but Sarah didn't need perfection. What she needed was action. She had spent so many months agonizing over the idea of the perfect plan, thinking that until everything made sense, she couldn't take the leap. But in that moment, she realized that action creates clarity. By starting, she was going to figure things out along the way. She wasn't waiting for a sign anymore. She was becoming the sign herself. Her heart was racing as she pressed the save button. It felt like a monumental decision, even though it was just a sentence. But in truth, that one sentence was the catalyst for everything that would follow. It was the shift from dreaming to doing. It was the beginning of Sarah's transformation from someone who wished for success to someone who was actively building it. The doubts didn't go away immediately. In fact, they came charging in stronger than before. What if no one cares about my idea? What if people laugh at me? These were the voices that would haunt her for weeks to come. But this time, Sarah had made a decision. She had stepped into the arena. She had chosen action over fear. And for the first time in months, she felt the weight of possibility. She could feel the universe shifting in her favor. It wasn't about waiting anymore. It was about taking what was hers. She closed the phone, sat back, and took a deep breath. She had taken the first step, and that felt like everything. It didn't matter that she didn't have all the answers. She didn't need them. What mattered was that she had finally taken that first step, and that step, small as it was, changed everything. Sarah's journey didn't begin with grand plans or an instant rush of confidence. It began with a simple, almost insignificant act. One step, and that one step opened doors she never knew existed. Do you know how powerful that first step can be? Because let me tell you, if Sarah hadn't made that decision in that cafe, if she hadn't opened that blank document and typed that first line, nothing would have changed. It was the act of moving forward that unlocked everything that followed. Without that step, she would have remained where she was, stuck in the same cycle of waiting, dreaming, and wishing. In that moment, Sarah realized that life doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. Life moves forward regardless of your readiness. And you either move with it, or you get left behind. The best time to start is always right now. And sometimes, you just have to jump in and trust that the pieces will fall into place as you go. Chapter 3. The Road to Action. Sarah had taken the first step, but the road ahead wasn't as smooth as she had imagined. Yes, she had typed that first sentence of her business plan. Yes, she had made the commitment to herself. But the next challenge was far greater. The fear that came crashing in as soon as she started moving. After that moment in the cafe, Sarah felt a spark of excitement. She was ready to take on the world, to finally make her dreams real. But as soon as she opened her laptop and started working on the next steps, something else followed: doubt. The kind of doubt that creeps in when you're about to do something big. The what-ifs started to flood her mind. What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? Each what if felt like a weight on her chest, suffocating her spirit. The familiar voice of fear whispered that she wasn't cut out for this, that maybe her dreams were just that, dreams, not realities. She couldn't escape those voices, no matter how hard she tried. The nagging fear told her she wasn't qualified, that there were better people out there, that everyone would see her as a fraud. But here's what Sarah learned that changed everything. Fear is a liar. It's a constant companion when you decide to step out of your comfort zone. But it doesn't have to control you. Sarah realized something important. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment when all your doubts are gone, when everything is clear and you feel completely ready. If you wait for that, you'll never start. Fear is not going to vanish. It will always be there, lurking, trying to convince you to retreat, to go back to the safety of inaction. Sarah didn't wait for her fear to leave. Instead, she chose to move forward in spite of it. She embraced the fear, not as something to avoid, but as something to overcome. She didn't have all the answers. She didn't have a detailed roadmap for success. She had a simple idea, some ambition, and a willingness to figure it out as she went. With that in mind, Sarah launched her business. It was far from perfect. In fact, it was barely polished at all. Her website wasn't fancy. Her marketing plan was basic, and her resources were limited. But she didn't care. She knew one thing: she had to start. Her first few months were rough. The business didn't take off right away. She faced rejection. People didn't always respond to her ideas the way she hoped they would. She made mistakes, a lot of them. She spent countless sleepless nights researching, testing, and learning. Sometimes she felt like giving up. But every time she made a mistake, she learned something new. Every time she encountered an obstacle, she found a way to overcome it. She started gaining a few customers, then more. Each small victory, no matter how insignificant it seemed, fueled her to keep going. She realized something essential. The more she did, the more she learned. The more she moved forward, the clearer her path became. Progress didn't come from waiting for the perfect conditions. It didn't come from having everything figured out. Progress came from taking action. Each step, each decision, no matter how small, was a step toward clarity. The truth is, you'll never have all the answers. You'll never have everything figured out from the start. That's the reality of any journey, and it's especially true when you're building something new. The conditions will never be perfect. There will always be uncertainty. But you know what the real secret to progress is? It's not waiting for everything to align. It's doing it anyway. Sarah didn't have the perfect business plan when she launched. She didn't have the right tools, or the right experience, or the right support. But what she did have was one undeniable truth: she was moving forward. That's what made all the difference. Action gave her the clarity she needed. It gave her the confidence to push through fear, to make mistakes, and to keep going. When you take action, you're not just moving closer to your goal. You're also creating opportunities you can't foresee yet. It's like you're building a bridge. As you walk on it, one step at a time, the pieces fall into place. Every time Sarah faced a new challenge, she overcame it by learning and adapting. And with each challenge conquered, her confidence grew. Sarah realized something powerful. Progress doesn't come from waiting for everything to be perfect. It comes from doing. So, she kept doing. She kept moving. She kept taking action, even when it felt uncomfortable or uncertain. Because the truth is, the first step is always the hardest. But once you start, you build momentum. You learn to trust the process. This is where you need to shift your mindset. If you're waiting for the right time, waiting until you feel fully prepared, you'll be waiting forever. The real secret to success is to take that first step and then keep going. You won't have all the answers, but the answers will come as you move forward. Action creates clarity. Action creates progress. Action creates results. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You just need to begin. And once you do, everything else will follow. So, like Sarah, you might face doubts. You might fear failure. But remember, fear is part of the process. And it's okay to move forward with fear in your heart. Because when you keep taking action, you start building the future you've been dreaming of. Chapter 4. Embracing the journey, not the destination. Sarah's story wasn't one of overnight success. In fact, it was the complete opposite. It was a story filled with failures, setbacks, and moments when the temptation to quit seemed too strong to ignore. She wasn't handed a golden ticket. She wasn't given a straight path to her dreams. In the beginning, the path seemed confusing, filled with dead ends, detours, and obstacles that tested her at every turn. But here's the part that made Sarah different from so many others. She didn't give up. Even when everything seemed to be going wrong, when she felt like she had reached her limit, she kept going. The early days of her business were messy, unpredictable, and often discouraging. Sales didn't come easily. Her marketing strategy wasn't as effective as she hoped. She worked late into the night, juggling tasks, making mistakes, and feeling like she wasn't getting anywhere. There were days when she wanted to throw in the towel, when the weight of failure seemed too heavy to bear. But she didn't quit. She kept learning. She kept trying. And with every failure, she learned something new. Each mistake wasn't a setback. It was a lesson. It was through her failures that she found her strength, her resilience, and her ability to adapt. Slowly but surely, the pieces began to fall into place. What Sarah realized, and what so many of us miss, is that success is not an event. It's a journey. And in this journey, the real value lies not in the outcome, but in the process itself. She wasn't just chasing success. She wasn't obsessing over the end goal. No, Sarah fell in love with the journey. She fell in love with the process of creating something from nothing, of learning things she never knew, of growing in ways she couldn't have imagined. The truth is, it's easy to be focused on the destination. We all want to reach our goals, to cross that finish line, to feel the rush of success. But the destination, the end goal, is not where the magic happens. The magic is in the climb. It's in the struggle. It's in the late nights, the hard decisions, the moments when everything seems uncertain, but you keep going anyway. Sarah's growth didn't happen in a straight line. It wasn't a constant upward trajectory. There were days when she felt like she was moving backward, days when she felt like she was stuck in the same place. But she started to realize something that changed everything. It wasn't about where she was at any given moment. It was about what she was learning and how she was evolving through it all. This is where you need to shift your mindset. It's not enough to just focus on the finish line. So many people get caught up in thinking that success is the only thing that matters, that if they don't get there quickly, they've failed. But that's a lie. The truth is, the destination is just a point on the map. It's not the real reward. The real reward is the growth, the lessons, and the transformation you experience along the way. Sarah's story teaches us that true success isn't measured by how quickly you get to the top or how many accolades you collect. It's about how much you evolve as a person, how much you learn, and how much you grow. Every challenge Sarah faced was an opportunity for growth. Every failure was a stepping stone towards something greater. And each time she pushed through, she became a stronger, more capable version of herself. And this is the secret you need to embrace. Success isn't the final destination, it's the journey. If you only focus on the end goal, you're missing out on the most powerful part of the process. Life is about the people you meet, the lessons you learn, and the way you rise up in the face of adversity. It's about creating something meaningful, not just the result, but the work, the creativity, and the hustle that goes into it. Sarah learned to love the grind, to enjoy the little wins along the way. The satisfaction came not from reaching the top, but from the small, incremental steps that led her there. She found joy in the progress, in the mistakes, and in the moments of clarity that came after struggling through the unknown. There were times when it felt like nothing was moving forward, but when Sarah looked back, she realized just how far she'd come. The process, the journey, had transformed her. She had become someone who could handle obstacles with resilience, who could pivot and adjust when things didn't go as planned. She had learned that success wasn't a destination, but a byproduct of her growth along the way. So, what does this mean for you? It means that you need to embrace the process, no matter how difficult it may seem. Don't just focus on the end result. The true value of your journey lies in what you learn, how you evolve, and how you respond to the challenges along the way. If you're only obsessed with the end goal, you'll miss the beauty of the climb. And it's in the climb, in the hustle, in the learning and growing, where you'll find your true success. The destination is important, yes, but it's not the real prize. The prize is who you become on the way there. So like Sarah, fall in love with the journey, even when it feels hard, even when it feels like you're stuck, because that's where the magic happens. That's where growth is born, and that's where success really starts. Chapter 5. The Power of Now. Taking action today. Fast forward a year or so, and Sarah's life looked nothing like it did before. Her business was booming. She was traveling the world, speaking at events, and working with some of the brightest minds in her industry. Her dream of writing a book was no longer a distant wish. She had signed a publishing deal, and her first manuscript was in the final stages of editing. It wasn't all just success and glamour, though. Sarah still faced challenges, and her journey was far from perfect. But now her business had taken off. The dream life she had once only fantasized about was becoming a reality, piece by piece. But here's the key to her success. It didn't happen because she waited for the right moment or the perfect conditions. It didn't happen because everything just fell into place. No, Sarah achieved everything she dreamed of because she took action. She made the decision to stop waiting and start taking those tiny, imperfect steps toward her goals, right when she could have just as easily put it off for another day, another week, or another year. And that's the truth I need you to hear, the hardest truth of all. The time is now. If you're waiting for the stars to align or for the perfect opportunity to knock on your door, let me tell you this. That moment you're waiting for might never come. It's not the perfect circumstances that get you moving. It's your decision to take action right now. Sarah didn't wait for the perfect business plan or for a guarantee of success. She didn't wait for the perfect time when she felt fully prepared. She didn't wait for a sign from the universe or for someone else to tell her that she was ready. She chose to start today, knowing that every small step forward would build momentum and that, through action, she would learn, grow, and ultimately succeed. And that's the difference between where you are now and where you want to be. Action. The gap between your dreams and reality isn't some big mystery. It's the steps you take today that create the life you want tomorrow. Now, I know it's easy to say, but I'm not ready, or what if I fail? Trust me, Sarah had those same fears, but she didn't let them stop her. She didn't wait for the perfect moment to act. She didn't wait for all the answers to fall into place before she took the first step. No, she acted with what she had, even though it wasn't perfect. In fact, you will never be 100% ready. That's the truth. There will always be doubts. There will always be reasons to procrastinate. And there will always be a part of you that will say, what if this doesn't work out? But that's just fear trying to hold you back. And fear will never disappear completely. The trick is to take action anyway, fear and all. The longer you wait, the longer it will take to get to where you want to be. You'll look back in 5 years and realize you could have started today. You'll think about how many opportunities you missed by postponing your dreams, and how much farther along you could be if you had just taken the first step. But don't let that happen. Don't be that person. Now is the time. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Not when everything is perfect. There is no perfect time. The perfect time is the time when you make the decision to begin. And the truth is that time is right now. I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you've been waiting for? What's that one dream, that one project, that one goal that you've been putting off for someday? Well, guess what? Someday is today. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be is action. And the beauty of it is that action doesn't have to be big. You don't have to have it all figured out to take that first step. Just move. Start. It doesn't matter if you don't have a clear plan. It doesn't matter if you don't know everything right now. Just start with what you have, and everything will start to fall into place as you go. Action is the bridge between your dreams and reality. And once you make that decision to move forward, even just a little, the road ahead will begin to reveal itself. But it all starts with a single step. Don't wait any longer. Don't let fear or doubt keep you stuck in the same place. The time is now. Sarah didn't let her fear control her. She didn't wait for the perfect moment. She acted, and with each action, she made progress. And now, she's living her dream life. But her story isn't a fairy tale. It's a story about taking action, embracing discomfort, and choosing to start, even when it was easier to wait. Are you ready to do the same? No more excuses. No more waiting. The time is now. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, get up, take action, and make your dreams happen.